Hey guys, All in Crypto here, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, for another YouTube video. Today we've got some pretty massive news that has largely gone underreported. If you understood what adding Python as a language that you could deploy smart contracts with on the Cardano blockchain would do, then you would be as potentially as excited as I am. And that's what we're going to be diving into today, ladies and gentlemen. The last video that we did where we looked at Cardano, we spoke about something called Metcalfe's Law. And in my opinion, the real value of a blockchain is going to be its user base. And the blockchain that is going to win, it's kind of self-explanatory, is going to be the one that gains the most adoption and users. And that's why the news that I'm going to be sharing with you today is significant. In fact, it's colossal if people really understand what potentially this unlocks for the Cardano blockchain. Like I say, I've seen many people actually, or I haven't seen this largely reported, but this is huge. And this was essentially something that was undertook by a group of Cardano developers that have essentially demonstrated the smart contracts for this network and the fact that they have written these smart contracts in simple Pythonic programming language. We're going to be getting into what that means, why it's such a big deal. You know, when we look at Cardano in regards to what's being built on top of it, compared to other, Ethereum, other ecosystems that are EVM compatible, it falls short. And it falls short for a number of reasons. We know that smart contracts have really only just sort of, over the past year or so, come into their own and got up and running. But there is also another reason, and that is to do with the language that Plutus is essentially, or smart contracts are deployed using on Cardano. And the language that Cardano has adopted is Haskell. Haskell is also a language that's been adopted by many tech financial companies for a reason. It does have a lot of benefits, but it's actually not the most widely used by any stretch of the imagination language, and is, from talking to developers and even people that are building on top of Cardano, quite a hard language to get your head around. So we're going to dive into what this actually is, what the news is that I'm reporting. I think this was official, and this is the individual, or one of the individuals, who essentially is in charge of deploying a smart contract, the first smart contract ever with the Python programming language. Why, straight off the bat, is this so significant? Well, Python is the most widely used language out there for developers. Python can be regarded as the future of programming languages. As per the latest statistic, Python is the main coding language for around 80% of developers. And this is just, why this is so big. Because one of the main, for smart contract blockchains, one of the main currencies that they have is developers. Now, we're doing very good in regards to GitHub commits. We can see that often we're right up there. This is just a daily one, so we're not always at the top in terms of GitHub commits, but sometimes we are, sometimes we're close to it, sometimes we're not. There is real development taking place. But if you could essentially unlock and be one of the first, with the sort of already social network effect that Cardano has, to allow developers to deploy smart contracts using Cardano with Python, I don't think people realize how huge that is. It's kind of like the first computers or the first phones that came out were quite hard to understand and cumbersome. But as technology evolves, it becomes easier and easier to understand and more kind of native. And this is kind of where crypto's at. The development space for crypto in terms of people deploying smart contracts is quite a close-knit group, even within the EVM community. And one reason that you see most chains, and a lot of chains out there, actually have way more in terms of total value locks in their DeFi ecosystem and way more built on top of these layer ones, is simply because of the programming language that they often adopt, which is the EVM sort of stack. This essentially means that because Ethereum was the first smart contract blockchain, it's the second generation. Now maybe you could argue the third with a moving to proof of stake. It's kind of where people started, just like the internet. The early languages of the internet often that was adopted. People would use that language because it was known. It's kind of like DeFi being built on top of Ethereum first. It's the first, it has that first mover advantage. So people often, when they've looked to create another blockchain, a layer one, have chose to adopt EVM. That's why we see lots of there's loads of layer one EVMs out there, EVM chains, and the reason being is because they know that it has already that developer sort of coding base, the developers there to sort of help it succeed and attract total value locked and usage to its ecosystem. Remember, I think that usage is what's going to drive these blockchains. So the fact, and we'll get into the news and exactly what's taken place, that there's been the first, and I think actually now the second smart contract deployed with Python. This could essentially open up the gateway to the largest developer community that there is. So hopefully I'm not just rambling on and not making any sense. And the reason that this is so significant is becoming apparent. And I first heard of this on Reddit. Reddit can be a great place to lurk in terms of looking for interesting things happening within the crypto space. Just quickly before we get into this and go over it all, I was going to do a video on the price. I will update you guys. I did say that, we let you guys know when we were selling. I did say at some point I'd let you guys know when we were buying. So stay tuned. My Patreon community is already well up to date. I'm not saying I've bought yet. I'm not saying I've not. But stay tuned for a video in regards to Cardano's price and what I'm personally doing as an investor, somebody that believes in this project over the long term. So I first heard about this, Cardano's first ever smart contract in Python version demonstrated by devs. Now, again, just to reiterate this, the largest language, 80% or around 80% of developers will use and are familiar with Python. If you look, you've got JavaScript under this, or Java, then you've got JavaScript, you've got Kotlin, you've got R, you've got PHP, you've got Go, you've got C, Shift, C hash, and then, of course, Haskell doesn't even make it into the top 10. I'm not even sure it's in the top 20. It's quite a specific language. I can't quite think of the word I'm trying to use for sort of financial tech companies, but often they will use, or many of them favor Haskell because there's a level of security that it brings, but there's also a barrier for people looking to build because it's a lot more complex than many of these other languages out there. So the fact that potentially people may be able to deploy smart contracts and dApps with Python, and that's what these guys are pioneering. I just want to say, please go and give these individuals a follow. I have reached out to this guy, and I would love to, if you're watching, or if any of the individuals who are part of this development are watching, please reach out to me on Twitter. I would love to have you on the show and pick your brains. It's super interesting what you guys are doing. Certainly for somebody like myself, who is really a spectator, not a developer or a coder, on how this space is evolving. And I do know that it's not just happening on Cardano, this kind of onboarding of the wider WASM, the wider WebAssembly languages, and sort of, there's even blockchains. We're discussing one in a community that's looking to have JavaScript as a language that you can deploy smart contracts on. So this is super interesting, and the fact that these guys are doing this is absolutely amazing. And I don't believe that these guys are paid to do it. I think they're just doing it out of pure love and interest and intrigue and trying to really pioneer the space. But we'll get through it all. I'm rambling on. As you can see, I'm pretty damn excited about all of this. And again, you've got to understand that one reason that most chains or a lot of other chains have a lot more total value locked is because they've captured that EVM development community, and they can kind of port from Ethereum over. People kind of leached onto Ethereum for that reason. And I understand why. And there are benefits to being EVM, just like there's benefits to being Haskell, but there's pros and cons. And one huge con to Haskell is that it limits many developers out there. It doesn't have a huge pool of developers. And actually, I did inquire in regards to looking to see if I could employ a Haskell developer. And let me tell you, they cost a pretty penny. You know, they're kind of worth their weight in gold. So Cardano's first ever smart contract in Python version demonstrated by devs. A group of Cardano ADA developers demonstrated the smart contracts for this network that are written in a simple Pythonic programming language. New types of smart contracts introduced to Cardano Python usage in Web3 acceleration. The team of Cardano ADA developers that goes by, I'll let you guys decipher that. On Twitter, share a sample smart contract for Cardano written in Epsim, a novel Pythonic programming language. And this is indeed the tweet. So for anybody that wants to verify this, I will leave a link to the description. I did check it out over on Cardano Scan, and you can see that it went through. It's worked fine. It has officially been deployed. You can see the fees associated with it. You can see the assurance, the block that it was involved in or that it was inside of. And you can see the timestamp and so on and so forth. So this is huge. This literally happened 2 days ago, and I can't believe nobody's covered it. I think Pete from Learn Cardano actually covered the fact that they, or did, I don't know if this is the same individual, that they were looking to bring Python onto this. So per their sentiment, the first smart contract of this type have already been compiled and deployed in the pre-production testnet of Cardano. The mentioned transaction took place yesterday on the 10th of January. Developers added that the integration with PyCardano, a lightweight Cardano library written in Python, is going to be the next step in their roadmap. Per their first estimation, the new instrument make Cardano ADA smart contracts more resource efficient. So this is huge, and these guys are actually working on not just them doing it, but allowing it for other people to do it. And if you understand just how many, this is the significance of it. You know, developers bring total value lock. They build things that people use, and remember Metcalfe's law, what we spoke about. For me, a blockchain, the blockchains that are going to win are the blockchains that are going to gain the most adoption. Why is Amazon? Told you about the battle that we have with our sort of traditional financial friends. They always say, well, there's nothing actually backing these cryptos. Why are they valuable? Well, it's the service that they offer, just like Amazon and many of these internet companies. And actually, to understand the crypto space and blockchain and where it's going can be quite easy for us to do, having already got the internet as a kind of a blueprint, if you will. So this is huge. I believe they've actually deployed the second contract. So compiled, deployed on Cardano prop or prod network. This contract is a bit more complex and uses data deconstruction, essentially the script text objective. I don't understand any of this, guys. I'm not a developer, but this is pretty amazing. I wanted to share this guy's Twitter. I really like to see people come on and actually try to enhance the overall blockchain and the community that goes with it. And I think this individual deserves a follow. So you can see his Twitter on here. He's pioneering something brilliant that would actually, if successful, and it looks like it's going that way thus far, have huge implications and repercussions for the entire Cardano ecosystem. It essentially means that eventually you could maybe have people deploy dApps with the Python language or a version of that. Which unlocks a pool of developers like no other. This is just huge news in my opinion. And Cardano's at this really kind of, we've got a number of projects coming on that are deploying, some of them at the end of this month, some pretty amazing things within the Cardano ecosystem. And this is just going to bolster the entire thing. And like I say, bring a lot of new users, not just through developers, but and people that will build on top of it, but people who will use what's being built. So that's all I've got for you in this video. Stay tuned for the price update, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be a pretty special one, given the fact that we've actually largely stayed out of the cryptocurrency markets for, you know, coming up to a year now, or will be a year soon. And that's something that we've done proudly as investors. But we've never lost our vision that blockchain is an industry that's here to change the world and is going to offer more opportunities than any other, probably that we may ever see in our lifetimes. All I've got for you in this video, guys. You enjoyed the content, like as always, appreciate it. So as a comment, I'm going to love and leave you on that note, guys. See you in the next YouTube video. Have a fantastic Thursday.